Welcome back to The Legal Brief, the show where we crush the various legal myths and misinformation surrounding various areas of the gun world. I'm your host, Adam Kraut, and today we're talking about what happens to those NFA firearms after you croak.
These ultra-unique ammunition displays from Ballistic Concepts are the ultimate in gun guy gifts. From tiny to massive, they offer calibers from mild to wild, including things like the classic M855 and 45 ACP, or the massive 950 JDJ and 20mm Vulcan, all handmade right here in the United States. To get 10% off these bad boys, use the code TGC10 over at ballisticdisplays.com.
If you haven't heard the news, I'm back on the ballot for the NRA Board of Directors in 2018. I'm making some exciting changes to the organization in the form of bylaw amendments, so you're going to want to head on over to adamkraut.com to learn more. As the popularity of National Firearms Act, or NFA firearms, has increased, the question of what do I do with this stuff when I die has been asked more and more. You may have heard some of the good old wives' tales that used to be whispered around gun shows like, "You're gonna have to turn them over to the government," or "they can't be passed on to anyone else." In all reality, the disposition of NFA firearms you own when you die is not very complicated. As you likely know, the two most common ways people choose to purchase NFA firearms are either as an individual or through a trust. The process is similar for both to a large degree. When an individual dies, they either die with a will or intestate without a will. If the person has a will and it directs where the firearms go, it makes life a little easier, actually a lot easier. If they don't, it likely requires a lawyer to figure out how the state's law requires property to be divided. Here's a fun fact: most people believe that if a couple are married without either having a will, everything goes to the spouse. That's actually not the case, so you should probably look into getting a will if you're one of those people.
And Anna Nicole married for love.
In either event, the estate will have an executor or an administrator. ATF clarified in everybody's favorite regulatory change, ATF 41F, that the executor or administrator is legally able to take possession of the NFA firearms while the estate is being probated. In the case of a properly drafted trust, there will be trustees who are still alive. They are also able to take possession of the firearms in order to properly administer the trust according to its provisions. So what happens next? Well, there's two ways the NFA firearm can transfer. One is tax-free on a Form 5, and the other is a tax-paid transfer on a Form 4. If an individual specifically names a person in their will, or by operation of law if they died intestate, the firearm transfers tax-free on a Form 5. The same is true for a trust and a named beneficiary. However, if the firearm is being transferred to a third party, someone not named as the recipient in a will, entitled to it by operation of law, or as a beneficiary of a trust, the firearm must transfer on a Form 4. Which means somebody's paying that $200 tax. It is okay for an estate or for trustees to sell the NFA firearms if the legally entitled recipient doesn't want them. They are, however, entitled to the cash value for whatever they're sold for. Let's be honest, some people in our lives may want cash rather than having silencers or machine guns, although I can't imagine why. I won't cover filling out the Form 5 in this episode, but if you guys want to see that covered, let me know in the comments. As you probably have learned, your NFA firearms don't just disappear into an abyss. They either go to your heirs, named recipients tax-free, or can be sold or given to a third party tax-paid. It is important that you take the time to make sure your affairs are in order. If you're an individual, strongly consider having a will drafted and not on the back of a napkin in a bar. They are not very expensive and ensure your things go where you want them to after you kick the bucket. If you're using a trust, make sure it's drafted properly to ensure that someone is actually able to administer it without requiring a court to appoint a trustee. Take a few moments to explain to your spouse, significant other, or family how this stuff works.
Explain! Explain!
So if they find themselves in a position where it has to be dealt with, they're able to start down the right road, or give the information to a lawyer to do it. Sick of fake news? Make sure you share this video with your friends. Don't forget to hit that like button, and if you aren't subscribed already, you better make that happen. Hang out on Facebook, be sure to join us on the TGC Nation group, and remember, check out my website, adamkraut.com. As always, thanks for watching.
The shirts worn in today's video on The Gun Collective have been provided by Patriot Patch. Closed captions have also been brought to you by Patriot Patch Company. Be sure to click the link in the video description to check out all of their great products, including their cleaning mats.